Good evening, and welcome to Horror Historian. My name is Amanda, and tonight we will be discussing the 2008 creature feature, Splinter. This movie always has successfully given me the heebie-jeebies, so I do enjoy it.
The director is Toby Wilkins, who really hasn't done a lot, unfortunately. Other than Splinter, he is most known for The Grudge 3, which I thought was a decent addition to the American Grudge franchise. Granted, it's been quite a while. Wilkins wrote this movie along with Kai Berry and Ian Shore. The stars are Jill Wagner, Paulo Costanzo, and Shea Whigham. Jill Wagner is most known for the Mystery 101 series, which is a series of TV movies. She plays the main character who holds a class on crime fiction in her college catalog. I admittedly am very interested in watching those, so I probably will. Paulo Costanzo is most known to me for playing Axe from Animorphs. He is also known for Royal Pains, Josie and the Pussycats, and The Designated Survivor. Shea Whigham is most known for the Fast and Furious franchise, Kong Skull Island, and Spider-Man Across the Universe. He's the guy that gets killed hilariously in Skull Island, and I'm just realizing this because, yeah, trigger warnings for all types of body horror. It gets real nasty.
The movie opens with an unnamed gas station attendant being attacked by something that looks as though it could vaguely have been an animal at some point, but what is most notable are the large splinters popping out of the skin.
We then meet our main characters, Seth and Polly. They are not a traditionally gendered couple. Polly is the more masculine, she knows how to drive a stick shift, and she's more action than thought. Seth, on the other hand, is more intellectual and is therefore treated as though he's more feminine. He ends up being the most useful character because he works in biology. They are just going to have a romantic getaway when they stop by the side of the road and end up being taken hostage by a man and his drugged out girlfriend. Dennis is a convict that has somehow managed to escape from prison and has done a lot of damage to do so. He wants to get the hell out of the country with his girlfriend Lacey. She is a drug addict, although it's hard to tell if she is actively using or withdrawing from drugs. Either way, she is definitely out of it. Polly drives for a while until they run over some kind of animal. It's hard to tell at the state that it's in, but it does have splinters in it. Seth and Lacey end up being the ones to interact with it after the splinters resulted in their tire being popped and something being cut. They aren't able to continue that far, instead heading towards a gas station. It's while Dennis is working on the undercarriage that he gets the splinter himself. This is one that the gas station attendant at the very beginning of the movie works.
They split up when they reach the gas station. Polly and Dennis go inside. The gas station is entirely empty of anyone that might be able to help them. Seth is pumping gas, and Lacey goes to the bathroom, where she finds the extremely infected gas station attendant from the very beginning. They are still alive, able to beg for death before their body is rushing towards Lacey and infecting her.
Lacey is killed, although it doesn't look as though she is actually dead. Dennis can see her starting to twitch from inside where Dennis, Seth, and Polly are hiding. Dennis wants to go outside to get Lacey in order to stop the monster from getting to her. He thinks that she's still alive because of all the twitching. Seth and Polly are a lot less willing to risk their lives for a guy that held them hostage and put them into this situation. Although realistically, they probably would have had a similar experience with or without Dennis. They were heading that way, they probably still would have hit the animal. Seth and Polly give him the okay to go outside, but warn him that they will lock him outside if the monster comes rushing back. They're not total assholes, so they won't quite be doing that, but Dennis does get out. Lacey starts to move, and it's clear that she is not who she had been prior to being killed by the gas station attendant.
We don't entirely know at this point how the splinters are hunting. It kind of seems as though they're attuned to movement, which they very well might be, but the whole breakdown will happen later with Seth. Dennis tries to drag Lacey's body back inside, but something is very clearly wrong with her as it starts to move again, and it is not moving like a person.
Seth encourages Polly to let Dennis back in, not wanting the trouble that might come from all this. Dennis gets back inside just in time for Lacey's body to be thrown up against the door. Her hand ends up getting inside the gas station through a slot by the gas station attendant window. Now, if you didn't know this, I'm a big fan of severed hands running around. It started with Evil Dead 2, continued through Owl Hands, and this movie has multiple running hands. It's a weird horror trope, but I'm very much okay with it. Seth, Polly, and Dennis all scramble to avoid getting touched by the infected hand as it skitters around. It doesn't really matter how badly they break it down, the thing keeps moving. The parasite continues to force movement, even if it's not all how like a hand would normally move.
A sheriff pulls up to the gas station, and both Polly and Seth are desperately trying to convince her to come inside. She, however, is much more focused on Dennis. He committed a whole lot of crimes, and he's going to prison if he gets caught. She is not at all interested in what Seth and Polly have to say, more kind of like taking the approach that obviously they're hostages, but that they've gone crazy with the hostagee situation.
It's ignoring Seth and Polly's warning that results in her being torn in half by the monster and being of absolutely no use to anyone. But at least her car is there. If they can get to the car, then they'll be able to access the radio. That's their best chance of getting in contact with someone that can actually help them. A bunch of CDC people coming down sounds really good right about then. That is why it's a good time for Seth to talk about what he has learned while observing the current situation. He's the smartest person in this room with these idiots and actually has given the situation some thought.
Seth has figured out that they are dealing with some kind of fungus. In our actual world, we do have something similar to this. It's also the inspiration for The Last of Us, and that's the first thing that came to mind. Obviously, this was came out before that, but the point stands. It is the same concept.
They're able to hide from the hand by stuffing themselves inside of the freezer, something that was figured out by Dennis. Seth eventually figures out that the fungus hunts by following heat signatures and devouring the blood of the victims. Before they can do anything more with that information, they have to take Dennis's hand off. He's been infected, but he's finally willing to share with the rest of the class. They use a cinder block and a box cutter. It's pretty gross, and we got another feral hand. It does lead them to like a little bit of a back and forth, getting to know each other kind of thing, and I did like that. Seth decides to lower his body temperature as low as he can so that he can get to the cop car. He can use the radio to contact help, and they might have a chance of surviving this. It's actually a genius idea, and it does work in the sense that he gets to the car. The major downside is that Seth is way too cold, and he's unable to react if anything goes down. And it's when he's inside of the cop car that he realizes he needs the keys in order to use the radio. Polly and Dennis are working more to distract the creature by setting off fireworks. Seth, by pure miracle, manages to get back inside despite what feels like a trap from the fungus.
There is absolute chaos once the monster manages to get inside, causing Polly and Dennis to have to fight much harder for their lives than they probably planned. It is a gross infection of Lacey's body at this point, like completely deteriorated.
They had discussed starting fires prior to this, mostly Polly and Dennis, but hilariously, it ends up being Seth that really starts the fire. He was hesitant because the only safety that they have is a gas station. That puts them in a lot of danger, even if they weren't inside the building if it exploded. At the same time, fire might be the only thing that can save them. If this creature keeps insisting on finding the hottest thing in the area to cling to, an exploded place is pretty hot. It's all very chaotic at this point as the monster flings itself around and Dennis ends up getting extremely infected and it's just something he can't cut off. And it's pretty clear at this point that Dennis has accepted his fate, and I think he kind of did ever since Lacey died. The police are not going to let him escape even if he did. His primary reason for escaping in the first place is currently being puppeteered by a fungus that's hell-bent on soaking up their blood. He does manage to kill one monster before passing a key over to Seth and Polly. It's a key to where he stashed the money and he wants them to give the money to the widow of the man that he killed, something that they promised to do before starting off from the gas station on foot.
Dennis uses a shotgun that Seth found inside the police car. He shoots the gas pump, causing an enormous explosion that kills him and any monster that might still be inside of the building.
Polly and Seth walk off, probably going to come across a firefighter that will definitely be called after that explosion, but the fungus isn't entirely finished. There is the fungus that had initially infected the gas station attendant, which was not on the property. The fungus that had that damaged their car is still there, and I can't imagine that they're not still moving around. We even see one of them in the woods, letting us know that this is very much not over, although we never did get a sequel.
This movie really does not disappoint when it comes to the gore factor. And it's also just a really entertaining movie. It's just so gross and it's such a simple concept. Like, what if a splinter you got ended up being so much worse? Like, under the skin stuff, gross.
It's honestly also just nice to have someone in a movie like this be smart. Did everything go perfectly? Absolutely not. That would have been boring. But they didn't just sit there and scream. They had solutions, especially Seth. The logic made sense, which only makes, like on rewatches, the initial dismissals by Polly and Dennis kind of annoying, especially Polly because that's your boyfriend. The acting in this movie is also pretty good, especially Dennis's acting. He's not the addict like Lacey is anymore. He's just someone that did a bunch of messed up things and lost control of his life. He ended up not being the selfish asshole that you might have originally assumed. He put himself out of his misery and made sure two people that he hurt could escape while trying to solve another person that he hurt. They were pretty solid working together. And it's such a gross movie that I'm kind of baffled why this movie doesn't get more attention. Like, I never hear about it, but I love it.
Thank you so much for watching. My name is Amanda. This has been Horror Historian. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Now, would I survive? No. Like, I hated getting splinters as a kid. They freaked me out. Even though like it's not painful to have them removed, I was still like losing it. So I would not do well in this situation at all.